Hello, welcome to an Ask Reddit video. Teachers of Reddit, what is the craziest thing you have seen on a student's social media? Well, I don't follow any students on Facebook, but one of my co-workers deals with kids in a different way and is more tuned in on their parents on social media. Told me her elementary schooler's mom went on Facebook Live, naked from the waist down. Spread eagle telling people to look at her house pussy. Mom is a cokehead. Apparently. I had a student tell me that he had to go out and look for his roommate's body and therefore would not be in class, and that his roommate had been killed in a kayaking incident. Now, when a student dies, we are told. At some past institutions this was not the case. For example, if you had a student from your course commit suicide, you were just supposed to act like nothing was wrong and that nothing had happened and that they had never been there. So quite honestly was like, okay, this might be true. Or dude might be lying. It was a few years ago, and so I got on Facebook, found the student, and identified the roommate. Unfortunately it was true. Unfortunately he was not the one that found the body, and the announcement came out slightly thereafter. I was able to excuse the absence without further evidence, which is always a nice thing to be able to do for somebody. The crazy thing, though, was that his roommate's quote was, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." It was uncomfortable. 8th graders posted his wake and bake session on Snapchat. Someone showed the dean and now he has it saved on his phone. For the rest of the year that kid was the most straight-laced dude. Literally think the dean was blackmailing him into being a better student. Lol. So, in my school district, teachers can lose their jobs for following students on social media. That being said, sometimes a student will get worried about something that they see posted and will bring me a screenshot of it. So, due to that, the craziest thing I've ever seen was one of our students pointing a gun at the camera and threatening to turn the walls of the school red with blood. I took the student who reported it to the front office and made a full report to administration. Never saw the kid who posted that again. I stay a mile away from all my kids and parents on social media. I am not going down for stalking or something because Karen wants an easy payday. Obligatory, not a teacher. But my old high school has a surprisingly good wholesome meme IG. Some of the younger teachers started submitting memes about their co-workers. And when I met them at a bar once, they were dying laughing and bragging about how funny their students are. Not a teacher, but at my friend's school, a couple of students broke and used up all the dry ice in the fire extinguishers and posted a picture to Instagram with the caption, "It's Christmas." They were expelled, but I'm not sure if they faced legal charges because the legal system in my country is shit. Not a teacher, but the teacher found out about it and had to deal with it. Some girl wrote a long and detailed multi-part fanfic about some guys in the school, using full real names. Not me, but my GF. Principal called all teachers to talk about something a couple of students had done. They were, I assume, BF and GF, and stayed in the classroom during break. She went down on him, with one hand on his dick and the other filming for social media, Snapchat I guess. The security camera caught it too. Edit. I said recess instead of break. My bad. Thanks for correcting me. The kids are 15. 16 yo. I'm more interested in why would a teacher stalk their students on social media in the first place. When I was in graduate school, I was living with a cop as a roommate. One time, I came home and saw her clearly on one of my students' Facebook accounts. He had posted pictures of himself in the dorm doing illegal stuff, alcohol and weed, so like, expected illegal stuff for a college kid. But it was incredibly awkward for me because she told me they were investigating him, and then I got to see him in class the next day. I worked a be careful what you put on social media lesson into what we were doing. But he ended up getting kicked out of the dorms not long after, and I'm not sure if they pursued anything else. This isn't really crazy, but oh man, I stressed myself out so much in that week. I felt bad for him because she was talking about nailing him to the wall for it. But I also felt like I couldn't openly warn him. And yes, this story is old because students were still on Facebook and weed was still a fairly serious charge. Also, I was awkward and young, and today I think I would just openly warn the student, lol. Not me, but my wife. A student posted a suicide note on Snapchat. Another student showed it to my wife. She ran to the front office and called 911. Kid was home with his mom and had overdosed in his room. Kid was taken to a hospital and survived. Saved his life. Not a teacher, but in year 10 my teacher reported this girl who was always quiet for having a fully lewd Belle Delphine-esque Instagram and Patreon. Not me. But it happened to an acquaintance of mine when he was in high school. He's not a teacher either. One of the students in his class went missing. Parents were freaking out because it was unusual for their kid to disappear without a trace like that. A week later the cops found his decapitated head. Cops never found the rest of his body though. My acquaintance tells me the whole school was freaking out about what happened. Apparently the guy was a small-time drug dealer and something happened. All in an attempt to beat my teacher who currently has 3 more karma than me. I need to beat him. Edit. Grammar mistake. Not a teacher. But in my high school there was a guy who posted a dimly lit video of him committing suicide. His friends reported the post to a teacher, who called the police and an ambulance. The responders arrived at the guy's house to find him completely okay. Turns out, he posted a video he found on the internet that looked enough like him. He didn't try to commit suicide. They took him to the hospital anyway to evaluate him. He stuck to his story until the teacher rated him out. Was a close-knit alternative school where the students were close to and on a first-name basis with teachers to try and get kids to see the school as a community go to classes regularly. This same kid threw a Halloween party earlier that same year where 100 kids showed up and hung out outside a snazzy building only to realize after midnight that all of his excuses about why we couldn't go on amounted to the fact that he didn't even live there. Weird guy. I wonder what he's up to now. A friend of mine who is a teacher found a live stream of his science class. Not a teacher but a guy I went to school with stole an official police bicycle. It was tied to a pole and he clipped the chain. He posted pictures of him with it to his personal Facebook. I'm not a teacher but my teacher wanted to look at my phone to see a pic of my brother cause he was in her class once and saw a meme with half naked women. In my second year of teaching I had this my kid in my class whose Facebook profile picture was him holding a gun pointed at the camera. Okay. Maybe doesn't sound super crazy but mind you I taught 5th grade and his mom was his Facebook friend. The scary part was that he was kicked out of school at the end of the year before for bringing a gun to school. 4th grade. His mom also thought he was a prophet. I literally spent that whole year wondering if he would bring a gun to school. He was seriously off his rocker and his mom never made him take his meds. Second, not really social media. But I had a student who looked up boys effing their moms on a school issued Kindle. This kid was only in 4th grade and to make it worse in 3rd grade, I had him 2 years in a row. Because I looped up, he sexually harassed a female student and wrote graphic, disturbing letters. Kid seriously has me worried. Edit. Kid in first one was in court for shooting someone recently. Poor kid didn't even make it through 9th grade. I don't follow my students' social media accounts for many good reasons. When I was in middle school, there was a trend where we made fake Facebook events and invited a bunch of people. One time my brother or one of his friends made one that was called Gay Lesbian Orgy in friend's name's house and invited a bunch of people. He invited one of my friends, girl around 15 years old, that went to a different school and barely knew the people involved in the event. And she clicked she would attend without paying much attention to the name. A few days later one of her teachers approached her after class to have a very awkward conversations along the lines of I know you might be struggling with figuring out your sexuality but taking part in things like that could be very dangerous etc. My friend was very confused. Not a teacher. But some kid at my teen school posted naked pictures of him being with another student's mom. Both were naked in the photo. Small town. Word travels to everyone. The moment her husband got a divorce and they all moved out of town. Was a wild ride in our little shitter town. Edit. I should clarify that the kid had just turned 18 at the time of the photo. Not a teacher but still got a story. There was a girl in my class. Smart. Funny. Top grades. Act. She got a boyfriend with a bad reputation. Her grades started dropping and overall she just became sad, I guess. One day there was a rumor that there were topless pictures of her on social media. A rumor like that spreads like wildfire in high school. And lo and behold, there were the pictures. With her boyfriend's reflection in the mirror as he was holding her dog up by its leash as if he was strangling it. Fucker. My mum cooks in a school and they have a parents group for the teachers to communicate with the parents, and all the parents do is moan about my Billy only got one sausage with his peas today and yesterday said he had a slice of pizza when the menu specifically says mini pizzas. I'm disgusted at this excuse for a meal. Meanwhile their kids are being ignored while their single mothers are being internet warriors. She slaves in that kitchen and plans everything out precisely and goes out of her way to make each kid feel special. Helping the ones with allergies and making their own menus. It is the most ridiculous and saddest thing I've ever seen. One kid had that green pasta and told its mum it was moldy, so she went on a massive online rampage trying to slag off my mum and get her in trouble just because what a 4-year-old says must be true. I'm friends with my middle school band teacher and all of the shit I've posted should probably be on here. A student was admitted to Stanford and tweeted like got into app standard or something. Stanford apparently checked out his Twitter and he had tweets that were misogynistic and other tweets talking about smoking weed. Stanford rescinded his admission and called the school to let the principal know exactly why his admission was rescinded. He ended up being fine, went to another good school on a full scholarship, but not as good as Stanford. An expensive lesson about social media. Doesn't fit the topic, but a teacher of mine stalked my Instagram profile and found a comment that was about 3 months old that said our teachers don't have a hard time anymore. Let's change that. I didn't thought that anyone would ever take this serious, but because this teacher hates me I almost got a lawsuit and wasn't allowed to go on our class trip. Drug use, death threats, nudes, hate speech. Other students would show us in class. Didn't happen at my school but happened in the county I worked in. Kids got hold of a teacher's cell phone and airdropped her nudes to the whole school and the kids posted them all over the Facebook and Instagram. IDK if that teacher continues working at that school or not, but I wouldn't have been able to. While using Google Docs in class, I saw a student was using the chat feature to send memes to another kid in class. Unfortunately, they were really edgy, anti-Semitic, incest, 9/11, I work in Nick, pedophilia, etc. I had to grab the computer and make screenshots of everything, which sickened me and was a totally waste of my school day. He was the valedictorian that year. The principal didn't even want to believe it was his account, and didn't until I showed him a selfie the kid had also sent. He had to come into school an hour early every day for 2 months to do community service work. The incident made his speech and it was funny. He did learn his lesson. And I'm glad he learned it in middle school instead of getting caught the following year, where he'd be on a huge scholarship to an extremely fancy private boarding school, and probably get expelled. Ex-high school teacher here. One of my year 11, 16-17-year-old girls had her modeling shots on her public Instagram. The shots were topless, featured fake blood, sex toys, and another model, who I didn't know. It had already made the rounds and been reported to the school by the time I was shown. The kid was already at risk, so it was just another massive red flag that she needed far more help and support than she was getting. One student created multiple fake Facebooks with the names of their classmates. They started a group chat between these fake profiles and would act out dramatic things, someone confessing a crush, someone saying they hated their best friend. They'd screenshot clips of these fake chats and send it to real people. Real life drama based on the fake drama would erupt in school. Not exactly social media originally, but it definitely ended up there. I teach high school and the students were talking about a middle school student who wrote a novel. It turned out to be an extremely graphic fanfiction of 2 of the male middle school teachers. The girl that wrote it was in 7th grade. We are talking about full-on novel. Around 200 pages and 13 chapters. Supposedly it is only book 1 in the series. The crazy thing is, my students showed me 1 paragraph before I knew what it was, and it was hands down the best technical writing of any student I have ever had. Again, I teach high school. She was in the 7th grade. Unbelievably well written. And unbelievable a 7th grader was able to describe things with such disturbing detail. Speaking for my wife here. She was on the bus with 30 high school students on their way to a field trip. She was trying to share something with a co-worker over AirDrop and her phone started getting flooded with nude photos of students. Apparently there is an option on AirDrop to insta-share photos with anyone else who has AirDrop on. What goes without saying, she freaked out and shut her phone off. Then had a long talk with them afterwards about how dangerous that is. Not me. But my fiance used to work the IT department of a school. Sometimes they got reports from students or teachers that suspect there's something on a student's school iPad. All I can say is, students, for the love of God, please stop taking nudes on school equipment. A few years ago, a school near where I teach had an epidemic of kids exchanging nudes. From stories that I heard, the kids were trading them like baseball cards and students that didn't participate were harassed until they did. If I remember correctly, I think almost the entire football team was kicked off the team and many students throughout the school were charged with possessing child porn. Fighting videos like I'm talking fighting and teachers in the background watching the whole thing happen without doing a thing to separate it. Some kids were so ecstatic to show me too. What a weird world. I have a girl that is 14 and writes a lot of amazing creepypasta stories. Like this girl has spookiness down. I love the work she does. Sadly, she had detailed plans on a message board about slaughtering her little sister and her adopted family and possess the means to do it in person. I work in a mental institution that's also a school. Either way, she's super cool. She's one of my favorites. Hopefully she doesn't get out and actually kill someone, but you never know with kids like her. These teachers at my school found a kids meme page, and keep in mind was a preppy stuck-up school. Anyway, the meme account had the usually slightly edgy kind of content, but the school acted as if it were a hate crime. Parents were called in. There was a whole school assembly on social media and the appropriate content that should be posted. The school went as far as suspending the kids behind the account for 1 week and giving detentions to every kid who liked the memes. The whole ordeal was just stupid and left me wondering if teachers even cared about the kids who were very clearly smashed on drugs. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.